Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video, this Crescent Moon Reflection drawing. Very fun and simple one today. Lots of fun making the stars and the moon and the reflection, so I hope that you enjoy it. We'll use some tools as we go to help us, including smart shapes to make our circles, and the 2D grid to help us make some perfectly straight lines, and then some different layer styles and stuff to get all of the glowing effects and whatnot. So, if you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra exclusive tutorials over on Patreon, so if you join over there, you get access to exclusive tutorials every month, along with sneak peeks of what we're drawing over here on YouTube. And then if you join right now, you get access to all the tutorials that I've posted so far. So again, that's linked in the description below, and that really helps support me as an artist to help keep making free content here on YouTube. But before we get started on today's video, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just save the file to your iPad and then double tap it or click on it and click open in Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. And then I will post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the bottom of the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we'll get started. Okay, so this is the color palette that we'll be working with today. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're first going to set our background color, and that is going to be done by going to our layer menu, clicking on our background color layer to open up our options there and set it to this first color on the first row of the color palette, this really dark blue. And then we'll just go straight into drawing our moon. So we're going to be back on layer 1. We're going to grab our first color on the second row and find our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. My opacity for the brush is at 100. My size will do like 30. And we're going to start by drawing a perfect circle. So there's a couple different ways to draw a crescent moon, but here's how we're going to do it. We're going to start with a perfect circle. So just a nice, good, big circle shape. Hold it down until it turns nice and smooth. Touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Again, good big size. Don't mess with it at all. Just go ahead and fill it in. And then grab it with your arrow tool. If you want to resize it at all, you can do so on uniform, but we don't want it to be too huge. We're going to cut it off at the bottom with our water. It's going to have some room at the top, but if you want to change the size at all, go ahead and do so on uniform. Make sure snapping's turned on in the bottom left, and we're going to snap it to the center of the screen, at least from left to right, maybe where you see this vertical yellow line. If you want to snap it all the way to the center, you can do the vertical and horizontal, but I think it can be a little bit above vertical. I think that's good, or above horizontal, so on our vertical yellow line, but a little closer to the top. Okay, and then to make the cutout for the crescent shape, again, multiple ways we could do it. We could use our selection tool on ellipse and select part of the moon and then cut it out, but this doesn't give you a perfect circle. So if we want to make sure we have a perfect circle, we can use our eraser tool, but then that takes a while too because then you have to erase the inside of it, and you can like select it and drag it off, but it still usually leaves a ghosty line that you have to erase anyway. So what we're going to do is make another circle and then cut out of it. So on my layer menu, I'm going to add another new layer. We're going to grab let's just grab our third color on the second row so that we can see it. Same monoline brush. We're going to draw another perfect circle. Hold it down until it turns nice and smooth. Touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Again, any size, really making sure it's not going off the edge anywhere. And then fill it in. Grab with your arrow tool on uniform if you want to resize it. But essentially, this is going to create our cutout. So if I place it like right about here, this is going to be everything to the left and bottom is going to be what we have left of our moon. So drag it in as far as you want. If you want a nice, really skinny crescent, or you can drag it out further, kind of whatever you want. You can increase and decrease the size and play around with that and what that does for your shape. So mine appears to be a little bit smaller than my main shape. And then I'm going to, again, place it in this kind of top right corner, something about like that. And then to get rid of this outside of our moon shape, we are simply going to go to our layer menu, this new circle we're on, click on that layer and click select. Make sure color fill is turned off. You should see diagonal lines everywhere. Then nothing else, we just go back to our layer menu, switch to layer 1 with our other circle on it, grab our arrow tool, and drag it off the screen. And you'll see this little lighter kind of cutout, and we're going to drag it off the canvas. Back to our layer menu, get rid of our layer 2, just slide to left and hit delete, and we are left with our crescent moon shape. And then with this selected, you can also grab this with your arrow tool and you can increase or decrease the size and recenter it or anything like that. If you want to change it, you can also like rotate it a little bit if you want to. So whatever works there to get your nice crescent moon shape started. But this is where we're at now. So now we're going to make the circles like the moon texture inside. So on my layer menu, I'm going to add a new layer right above our layer 1 here. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. And then we're going to grab our second color on the second row, same monoline brush. And we're going to make some perfect circles around our moon to fill in. So I'm going to make a circular shape, hold it down until it turns nice and smooth, touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Make sure you filled it all the way around. We need to be connected so that we can fill it in. So I'm hoping you can see these okay on the camera. They're very similar to our base color. We just don't want them to be too crazy. We're going to add a little shadow inside of them as well, but we don't want them to be too crazy dark or anything. So, but something like this, and then we'll just, so they can go off the edge, and then we'll make some just kind of smaller ones, always holding our pen down and touching our finger to the screen. So I might leave these open and continue on, and then I can fill them all at once later. So again, just varying sizes, some going off the edge, some not. So something like that for all my shapes, and then I'm going to drag into one, and then click this continue filling at the top. And then we can tap into the other ones to fill them in also, or fill any in with your pen if you need to. And then that is it for our little moon pattern. So then for each of these, we're going to add a little shadow to them. So on my layer menu, I'm going to click on this layer and turn on alpha lock now, so we only draw within these shapes that we've laid down. And we're going to switch to our third color on the second row. We're going to switch our brush this time to the soft brush under the airbrushing category. I'm going to have my opacity for that at 100, size at maybe 5 or so. And we might need to adjust it as we go for some of our smaller ones. But essentially, we just want to shadow towards the edge of our circles all the way around. So something like this to kind of just show that they're like craters. So again, I might start on the bigger ones here with this size. And then we'll lower the size a little bit for the other ones. Okay, might lower my size down to like 3% or so. It doesn't have to be perfect, we just want a good shadow. Okay, so then that is it for the craters there. Then we are going to add a highlight around them as well to, again, make them look a little bit more 3D. So on my layer menu, I'm going to go ahead and add a layer right above layer 1 underneath my other clipping mask, and it's going to automatically set itself to a clipping mask there. And we're just going to switch our color to the fourth one on the second row, and same brush. I'm just going to go through and kind of create like a highlight around the edge of these to just kind of highlight them a little bit more. So again, I might start on my smaller ones now. But feel free to adjust your size as you go if you need to. Okay, beautiful. That looks great. Let's keep on going. Next up, we're going to make a highlight around our moon. So on my layer menu, I'm going to make a duplicate of my layer 1. So slide to the left and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one. Click the N on this layer, and we're going to change this layer style to add. This will give us a really nice glow. And then we're going to go to our wand icon, Gaussian blur. We're going to blur this up quite a bit to maybe 30%. That is a very good glow. And then we'll add more glow in the sky and stuff with our stars and another color. But this will just give us a good glow for our moon to get us started. Okay, and then we also need a glow on the moon, on the edges. So on our layer menu, I'm going to add a new layer at the very top of all of our layers. Click on it instead of to a clipping mask, so we're still clipped to our basic moon shape. And then click the N and again set this layer to add as well. We're going to go back to our base moon color, first row on the second row. Same soft brush, maybe up to like 5%. And again, I'm just going to go through on the edge here and just create a little bit of a highlight coming in there. So I'm going to do that all the way around on our moon there. And then we'll lower the opacity of this layer a little bit. It gets really, really bright, but going pretty lightly, just coming in and touching that edge there. Like so. Okay. Layer menu, click the A on this layer to open up our options, and we'll just drag the opacity down just a little bit to like 60 or 70% or whatever feels good to you for that highlight there. Okay, let's go ahead and now make our water so that we know where that's going to be and we can place all of our stars in the sky around that. So on my layer menu, I'm going to add another new layer to the top. I'm going to grab my darkest color, first row on the bottom row, selection tool, switch it to rectangle, and turn on color fill. I'm going to start on the bottom left outside of my canvas and drag up and across all the way to the right side going off the canvas and then like covering up the bottom like chunk of our moon like this. And that's going to be where our water is. So make sure you like the way that that looks. If you need to, you can grab with your arrow tool on freeform and you can adjust the height of it or anything else. I think that looks good there. Let's go ahead and make the reflection and everything in the water. So on my layer menu, I am going to grab up my basic moon shape again, layer 1, slide to the left and hit duplicate. Grab the bottom one that pops up so we're in between our main layer with its clipping masks and then the blurred layer that we already have laid down there. This new one, I'm going to drag it up above our top layer that's our water, like so. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask so we only see what's in our water shape. Grab with our arrow, click flip vertical, and then I'm going to drag it down to where they kind of meet up here on the bottom, like so. So they should touch kind of right where that comes together there and then right where it comes together on the right side. We're going to blur it so it doesn't have to be perfect, but we just want it to kind of reflect nicely there like it lines up. So move it up or down if you need to line it up there nicely left and right. Okay, now we'll blur it. So wand icon, Gaussian blur. We're going to drag this up a good ways to maybe like 20% or so for our reflection. We're going to do some more stuff to it as well, but that's going to get us started. Okay, now to make it kind of water looking, we're going to go to our wand icon again. This time we're going to do liquefy. So the liquefy mode here I have on push. My size is at 30%, distortion none. Pressure is at 38, momentum is at 40. And then I'm just going to go kind of left to right, and I'm going to kind of push this out here and there, going nice and horizontally, and then I'm also going to like push it back in, like so. So just kind of all over doing that to make it look kind of watery. Feel free to adjust your size and stuff if you would like to. It doesn't have to all be perfect. You know, some can go out further, some not as far. We just kind of want to keep the general shape of it, but add these ripples in. Okay, something about like that. Beautiful. Now we're going to go to our layer menu, click the N on this layer with our little reflection, and we'll lower the opacity a bit to maybe 70 to 80%, somewhere in there, so it's not quite so bright. And then we'll add another layer above this one, click on it and set it to a clipping mask as well to our water shape, and then click the N, and this time we're going to set this one to add back to our first color on the second row in our soft brush, and we're going to add some more reflecting light. So I'll increase my size to maybe like 10% to start. And we're going to just kind of touch this edge where the moon is. So the whole top edge, basically from left to right, we're going to touch that with this color to kind of provide more of a reflection there. Maybe a little bit deeper in the center there, like so. And then I might just add some more little blobs in the water as well here and there to kind of just create some more light through it. Over the moon is fine as well, but just to kind of create some difference very, very lightly though. And we'll again probably lower the opacity on this layer a little bit. Okay, but something like that just to give us some more light throughout the water to start. Okay, layer menu, click the A on this layer, and again we'll drag the opacity down a little bit to maybe 70%. I think that looks good. Okay, one last thing in our water are just some little streaks. So on my layer menu, I'm going to add another new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to add. We're going to switch to our lightest color now, fourth one on the second row. And then we are going to turn on our 2D grid to help us get some perfectly straight lines. So under the gear icon, under canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, and then click edit drawing guide. And it's already set to my 2D grid. I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit so we don't see the grid as much. The size doesn't matter, but we just want to turn on assisted drawing. So make sure that's turned on and click done. Go back to our layer menu. This layer that we're on now should say assisted. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on drawing assist. And then we're going to switch our brush as well. And the brush that we're going to use is the soft airbrush under the airbrushing category. So it's a little bit lower than our soft brush that we were using, this like skinnier airbrush down here. Our opacity is going to be at 100, but we're going to push really lightly. So if you have a hard time pushing lightly, just lower your opacity. And then our size will be at like 20%. And we're just going to go through and very lightly create some little kind of rippling water effects like so. So very, very lightly, push a little harder for some, push lighter for others. So we have a little bit of variety kind of going on. Okay, that is it for our water. So now we're going to move on to the sky. So on my layer menu, let's just go ahead and add a new layer at the very top is fine. And we're also going to turn on drawing assist to start. So click on this layer, turn on drawing assist. And we're using the same color that we did before, the fourth one on the second row, but we're going to switch our pen to the light pen under the luminance category. So find that, our opacity is at 100, our size is going to be at 50, and we're going to start with our shooting stars. So that's why we have the 2D grid on, but we don't want them to be horizontal. We want them to be diagonal. So we're just going to go to our gear icon under canvas, click to edit the drawing guide, and then with this green button at the top here, we're going to just turn that to the left a little bit, and that'll help us get our shooting stars. So whatever angle you want them to be at, then go ahead and click done. And then now when you start drawing, you get a perfectly little diagonal line. So again, adjust that more if you would like to, your angle there, till you like it. I'm only going to do probably like 2 shooting stars. I'm going to do one big one kind of right here. So I'm going to push and kind of let that go. Nice, good, long star there. And again, if the way that you push is like really hard, you can go ahead and lower the size of your brush. If you're really light and you want to make it bigger, increase the size. But a good size like that, I might add one in the sky over here as well. Maybe a little smaller because I kind of want this one to be like the main one. So just a couple shooting stars, and then we're going to add some normal stars as well. So I'm just going to click on this layer and turn off drawing assist now. And then same color, I'm just going to increase my brush size to 100%. And now we're going to make some stars. So if you start pushing on the screen and push down pretty hard, you'll get a nice big star. Or you can kind of tap and you can get some smaller stars. So we're going to do a good variety of that. So I'm just going to kind of go through, make some medium, bigger, littler, kind of all over the sky here. Good variety, some closer together, some kind of on their own. Okay, and then once I've done a good variety of that, I'm also going to do just the faintest little tiny tapping, like just so small that they barely even like turn into a dot. Just so faint kind of in the background to help kind of fill out our picture a little bit more. So do as much or as little of that as you would like to. And then we're going to make a little glow around the stars. So on my layer menu, I'm going to slide to the left on my star layer and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one. Just a normal layer is fine. Our color is already very bright, so we don't need to set it to add like we've done for the others. But we're just going to go to our wand icon, Gaussian blur, and we're going to blur this just a smidge, not a ton, because they're so small. So if you blur too much, they just kind of turn into nothing. So we'll just blur up to like 5 to 7%, somewhere in there. And then lastly, we're going to add some more color to the sky. So on my layer menu, I'm going to add a layer, drag it to the very bottom of all of my layers. And we're going to use this second color on the top row. Back to our soft brush under the airbrushing category, the bigger one at the top. Opacity at 100, size at maybe like 20 to 30, somewhere in there. And you can either like make some streaks through the sky or some different colors like that. Or you can kind of start around the moon and make like a bigger kind of circular glow towards where the moon is. Kind of whatever you want to do. That's probably what I'm going to do, but you can also do the streaks. But I did just around the moon and kind of from there, and then it kind of makes the corners a little bit darker all the way around. But either way, that just kind of completes our picture, adds a nice glow so the sky isn't so stagnant. And once we're done with that, that's it for our drawing today. I'm going to go ahead and turn my grid off so we don't have to look at that anymore. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you like the way that yours turned out. I hope you maybe learned something new. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below what you thought, or if you have any ideas for future tutorials that you'd like to see. The likes and comments really help out my channel, so I really appreciate it. And then if you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it. So go ahead and post it there and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.